following 5 hours of debate. The exchange would be an online marketplace where people could shop for health insurance policies using subsidies from the federal government. It is a centerpiece of the Obama administration's health care overhaul. The goal is to cover 1.3 million Minnesotans. A state Senate committee needs more time to consider a bill that would allow child and in-home care providers to unionize. The panel delayed any action during a hearing today. Supporters say unionizing would mean better wages and training, but opponents say families would end up having to pay more for care and add that many care workers are against unionizing.
Being able to join the union will allow real PCA or home care workers to be able to say, you know, I do this because I care. I do this because, you know, you need that support, and we're here to support you.
A lot of the people that are in this business want no part of this. I've gotten all kinds of feedback to that effect ever since the governor tried to do this through an executive order.
Well, it's unclear when the panel could take up that measure again.
One of the harbor seals that famously escaped during last summer's flash flooding in Duluth has been euthanized. Vivian had been living at the Como Zoo in St. Paul since the flood. She died Saturday following emergency exploratory surgery. Zoo officials say Vivian had been losing weight and was lethargic. Her sister, Feisty, escaped the Lake Superior Zoo when the exhibit was overcome with water. Police are now investigating after a nurse at an independent living facility in Bakersfield, California, refused to administer CPR on a resident who later died.
We need to get CPR started. That's not enough. Okay.
Yeah, we can't do CPR.
Okay, then hand the phone to the passerby. If you can't do it, I need to hand it to the passerby. I'll have her do it. Or if you've got any citizens there, I'll have.
The incident unfolded after an elderly woman collapsed in the dining room of the facility. Officials say a 911 police dispatcher first fielded the call and then immediately routed it to the fire department for emergency services. But when a second dispatcher pleaded with a nurse to perform CPR, she refused. Bakersfield police are trying to determine if there was any criminal wrongdoing.
Coming up, it's a question many workers ask. How do you successfully ask for a pay raise?
Some tips from a professional recruiter next in our Take Care of Your Money report. Plus, Bella's back with how much snow we can expect, plus what impact, if any, this is going to have on Minnesota's drought conditions.
When it comes to asking for a pay raise, it's not something many people feel comfortable doing.
But now that the economy is slowly making a comeback, more and more folks are thinking the time is right. In tonight's Take Care of Your Money report, KARE 11's Jeffrey DeMars has some tips to help you get that raise.
Somehow you survived the economic crisis, but for some, not without a setback. There were those called upon to accept work furloughs, others pay freezes, even pay cuts. Now that business is back up, just how do you go about getting that money back?
If you're just a seat warmer and you're not a game changer, chances are pretty good you're not going to get a raise that you're looking for.
Minnetonka's Marnie Hockenberg is a professional recruiter and has a few tips on how to earn a few more bucks.
Find out what other people in your industry, in your market, are currently making, so you do a benchmark.
Once you know your earning potential, find a time to meet with the boss well before you plan to ask for a raise to lay the groundwork. Discuss with your employer what goals need to be met to earn more money and ask what you can do to go above and beyond to separate yourself from others. Setting goals ahead of time helps establish expectations and meet criteria to earn more down the road.
How can I be that person that's that top performer that deserves the raise? You have to earn raises these days. It's generally not automatic.
Hockenberg says create a list of accomplishments or a brag book that illustrates the ways you have helped your company either make money, save money, or streamlined a process. When to ask is also key.
Where is your company at right now financially? How are they doing? Are they just barely hanging on? That's probably not a great time to go in and ask for a raise.
If the timing seems right, be prepared and treat the raise conversation like a business meeting. Still, there is a chance you might not receive more money. It's recommended you consider that as a possibility beforehand.
And you go in and say, okay, here I have done all of this. Now let's talk about my increase. And they don't give you that increase. I would dig a little bit deeper and just say, well, did something happen between the time we had the conversation and right now?
All the while, keep your emotions to a minimum and try and ask to get a clearer picture of what will be needed to earn more money. Jeffrey DeMars, KARE 11 News.
If you would like more advice from Marnie, log on to our KARE 11 Facebook page. She's going to be answering questions for a little bit.
Even with this latest round of snow, Minnesota's drought conditions are not expected to improve. Winter precipitation is a little above average for much of the state, but state climatologist Greg Spoden says when the snow eventually melts, very little water will actually absorb into the ground since it will still be frozen. Spoden says what the state really needs: abundant spring rains. Roughly 70% of Minnesota is in extreme or severe drought.
Well, you wouldn't think it with what we've seen the last month or so, but apparently that's the case.
The one thing that he did mention that is important to note is that this will help the lake levels and the river levels and the creek levels, and a lot of lake owners and a lot of folks that care about our lakes are happy to hear that. So that's one thing to note. And yes, if we get the spring rains, that will help as well. And as you took a look at that live shot, it is slowing down around the region as the snow is picking up. Let's again take a look at what we anticipate when the snow is all said and done tomorrow afternoon. It'll be 24 in the morning and 32 in the afternoon, and that's your bus stop forecast. And of course, if for some reason your school does close or delay, you can find that on KARE11.com or at 4:30 in the morning when the show starts with Kim and Tim and Sven. So this is what we anticipate when it comes to totals by tomorrow afternoon. Anywhere between 9, maybe 10 inches in a few spots. And it really does look as though the snow will slow down late in the morning in the metro, but it will actually continue falling pretty heavily to our south and east. The new model run is continuing to trend that. And so I do think there'll be many areas to our south and east that have about a foot of snow. It'll tailor off very quickly to the northeast, and also, look at this, to the southwest. It is going to be a huge difference when it comes to how much snow will fall from Marshall to Pipestone, just 1 or 2 inches. So here are those headlines. Heavy snow overnight, rough morning commute. We've said it many times, but there it is again. 6 to 10 inches is going to be the range in the metro. The winter storm warning blanketing the state through tomorrow afternoon. Winter weather advisories on either side, 29 and 23. And this is the morning snowfall, so we haven't tacked on the evening snowfall onto that just yet. So we'll see how we end up. A normal March, just to remind you, actually brings us around 10 inches of snow. So we'll see what we get when it's all said and done. 25 degrees right now with an east wind at 10 and that dew point's 23. So it's pretty perfect when it comes to temperature to get optimum snow right in those low 20s. That's right where we should be. And that's what we're going to hold throughout the night, right in those low to mid 20s. 23 in St. Cloud, 27 Montevideo, 30 in Marshall. So we have moisture coming in from the south. We have the pivot point right here across Bismarck. This is going to pivot right down through southern Minnesota, just south of 94. That's why the heaviest snow will be right here in southeastern Minnesota, butting right up to the southern metro. But there'll still be heavy snow from Cloquet and all the way up to Bowabic and then down through, of course, the Twin Cities. So that's the scenario. When it comes to the computer cast, you watch the clock. It's still snowing heavily at 6 a.m. through 10 a.m. Then around 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, it really starts to taper off. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, the sun comes out. And because it's March, it'll be back to 30 degrees. So that'll be great on Wednesday and also on Thursday as well. So here's your forecast for tonight. We will stay in the mid-20s. We'll have that east to southeast wind all night long. And this heavy snow obviously is already redeveloped, and it will be heavy overnight, 3 to 6 inches by morning. Then tomorrow, an additional 1 to 2 inches, mainly in the first half of the day. Our high tomorrow will be between 29 to 34, with the totals being 6 to 10 inches. So we could get the total March tally in just the next 24 hours. Not to say that we won't get more. So the sun comes out on Wednesday and Thursday. We have that sun out as well, looking pretty nice. And then Friday, 37 degrees, 40 Saturday and Sunday. There'll be a little bit of a wintry mix on Saturday, not looking like a big deal. But Sunday, there's another storm. It's too far to call it, but, or excuse me, Monday, there's